Hello everyone and welcome back to PM Studios C# programming tutorials. Today we are going to be going over a little bit of practice on methods. We are going to be creating a permutation calculator in order to demonstrate how exactly one would function through permutations, and methods primarily. This is going to be leading up to our next tutorial, which will be classes, and then we are going to be getting into actual Windows 32 programs, so we'll be working with a graphical interface in 2 or 3 more tutorials. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This is a bit of a large program, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to declare some ints. We're going to go tunits, gunits, and solution. I'm going to set solution equal to 0. And we're going to go character, operation, and do again. String, operation type. I'm going to set that equal to a blank string. I'm going to go boolean, decision 1. Oops. I just want bool. Decision 1, I'm going to set that equal to true. And decision 2. Once we have all of our variables declared, we're going to go ahead and put in a while loop. We're going to do while decision 1 equals true. Remember, 2 equal signs is a comparison operator, whereas 1 equal sign is an assignment operator. So while decision equals true, we're going to be performing whatever is inside of it. So we're going to automatically set decision 2 to true every time it iterates through the loop. This will just save us some issues when it comes later down the line. And then we're going to go console.writeLine. We're going to go please enter the total number of units, the n, because not all people know what permutations are, or how to interpret them. NPR, close the quotes, close the parentheses, and the line. T-units, by the way, T-units stands for total units, if you didn't gather. T-units equals convert dot to int 32. I'm going to go console.readLine and end that up. And then we're just going to go up here and copy this right now. Save us some coding time here. And we're just going to paste that there, and all we're going to change is we're going to change the grouping of units from the total. And then we're going to change this to G-units for grouping units, obviously. And then, we also need to change this to the R in NPR. There we go. And once we have that finished, we're going to go ahead and move on to greater things. Do while decision 2 equals true. So this is why we need to reset it, because after this loop goes out, decision 2 is set to false, and we need it to be reset to true, so it'll go through this while loop the second time around if they choose to do so. Console.writeLine again. We have a lot of prompts here in this one. Would you like to do a combination or permutation? P equals permutation, and C, or we can just do comma, C equals combination, and then close the parentheses for that, close the quotes, close the other parentheses, and then in the line, I'm going to do operation equals convert.toCharacter. I'm going to do console.readLine. Be sure to always keep track of your parentheses so that you know you've closed all of the operators when you need to. We're going to go if operation I'm going to go operation equals P, or operation, because we want it to detect whether or not they do caps or not caps. So it's kind of a handy little feature that you can throw in for your clients to make it easier and more robust for them, so that you don't have to well, they don't have to try so hard to fit the rigorous structure of your operations. So we prompted them that they need to enter P for permutations, and we prompted them they need to absolutely enter C for combinations. So therefore, we're going to detect both iterations of P and both iterations of C. It's that easy. So we're going to go solution equals, and this line right here is going to give me a bit of an error because we haven't created permute yet. G-units. And basically what this is saying is it's calling the method that we'll be making here in a few minutes called permute, and it's plugging in the two variables T-units and G-units into that method. And this is the standard format for calling methods. Basically what we're doing is we're saying that whatever is returned from this method right here is going to be what solution is going to be assigned once the method is completely run. And this is what we do to compartmentalize our code. So we're going to do decision to equals false. So we're assigning that to false. So if they choose that, then we're going to go ahead and stop it from going out. And the reason why we set it so that it has to loop through is because we're making our code robust. If they choose anything besides capital P, lowercase p, capital C, lowercase c, then we need to run it back through after letting them know that, hey, you chose something wrong. You need to go through it again. So, and not in such harsh terms, but you get my idea. We're going to go operation type. I'm going to set that equal to permutation. And the reason why we have that operation type is because at the very end we're going to say your whatever you processed was or came out as a result of whatever the answer is. So we want to set that whatever the process is right now so that we can refer back to it easily later on and have it return correctly which operation they did. I have a funny feeling the insert is set. Yeah, there we go. That would be why insert was on. Alright, else if operation, not operation type, just operation equals C. And generally speaking, you might want to put a little more variation between the names. So instead of putting operation type and operation, you might want to change operation to procedure or something so that it doesn't keep pulling up the wrong variable when you're trying to fill it out like I am. But what's done is done. Else if, I'm going to continue on here, and then we're going to go else if solution, oops, one line too low. There we go. Solution equals combine T-units. Again, we're going to be forwarding T-units and G-units into this class because it's required for both combinations and permutations. We're going to reset decision 2 to false because if we get to this answer we want to continue on anyways. And we're going to do operation type now. I'm going to set that to combination. And again, the reason why we don't want to set it to a capital C or a capital B is because insert is on. Okay, the reason why we don't want to set it to a capital C or a capital B or capital P is because this is going to be in the middle of the sentence. So in order to make it look proper, we want to leave it as lowercase. Then finally, we're going to do an else statement. And we're going to tab that in, console.write line, and we're just going to say, I'm sorry, the choice you entered is invalid. Please go back and re-enter your choice. And again, the reason why we do this is because we're adding a little bit of robustness to our code so that the users can enter whatever they feel like entering, but it's no promise no promise that the program is going to do anything unless they put in the proper values, which we've very clearly stated earlier on. So that will save you a lot of headaches later on when you start writing code for other people. We're going to do console now, right outside of the while loop, because we have finished this while loop. If you notice, I have that selected, and it closes up here at the top of the while loop. So now we're outside of it because we finished it. We're going to do console.writeLine, and parentheses, the solution to your, and like I was saying, this is the reason why we want it to be lowercase, because it's in the middle. We're going to do plus operation type, plus again, and then of course all these spaces are not necessary, it's just habit. The only spaces that aren't necessary are the ones that are inside the quotes. This plus solution, period. Closed parentheses and the line console. And now we're going to ask them if they want to continue on and do a second iteration of this program. Read line, and then we're going to go console dot write line, would you like to run this program again? We're going to Y or no. So yes, once again, we are giving them very strict, definite options as to what they can work with. Only this time, since it's the termination of a program, we're just going to terminate if they don't choose anything but Y. This saves us time with coding, and it makes it very effective. So do again does not equal, because we're saying if do again does not equal yes, then we're going to set the while loop to false, and the program's going to terminate. Or do again does not equal y. Whoopsies. Decision, why didn't I put decision 1? Alright, decision 1 equals false. And that will be the end of that. And as you can see, we've pretty much got everything wrapped up now. Well, actually we don't, because this is just the main class, which is going to be running all of the operations that the user will see. Now we need to create the methods, which is exactly what this tutorial is meant to be about. And so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we're getting the end of the static void main, which would be this bracket. And again, it highlights them for you so that you can see that you're selecting the right ones. So we want, after this one, we want to create a new method, and this is how you create a new method: public static int permute, and then int a, int b. Okay, so let me take a second before we go diving into everything that we're going into. Public means that the class is accessible by everything in the project, which means if we were to create another class inside this entire project, this method could be accessed easily from outside this class so that other portions of this program could use it. If it's set to private, only things inside of this page right here could use this method. Static means it's going to be returning a static variable, which I'll get a little bit more into later in the series. Integer implies that whatever it's returning is going to be an integer value. This is crucial to keep in mind, because if you set it to public static int, it has to return an integer value or the program will not run. Same thing with public static string or public static double. If you set it to those, then it won't run unless you return the proper variable type. Of course, the name, you might want to set it to something easy that you can remember, but it's also something that needs to be readable and understandable to other people who are looking at your code in the future. And then you declare, inside these parentheses, you declare which variables are going to be forwarded to you. So obviously right here we have two generic integers. You don't need to give them names. Actually, it's usually harder for you in the long run if you give them names. Int A and int B is plenty sufficient. It lets whoever's looking at your code know, okay, well, we have two integers being forwarded. So, and you can give them names in here if you want. It just takes time. Whatever is comfortable for you, but just know that everything inside these parentheses are variables that are being forwarded into the class. And for every variable that it's expecting, you need to have a variable being forwarded in. So if we had an int c in here, we'd need another int on both of these declarations here in order for the method to run properly. Anyways, I hope that helps. If you have any questions about that, please leave them in the comments. I would be more than happy to try to think of another way to explain it to you guys. So let's go ahead and create two ints in here, int total and solution. We're going to make solution equal to 1, because regardless of how many different total numbers and how many different grouping numbers we have, we are always going to have at least one combination. So regardless of what happens, we want the solution to be equal to 1. The next thing we want to do is we want to go total equals A minus B, and then for int temp equals A temp is greater than total temp minus minus. And we did go over those to some extent in the for loop tutorial. Again, if you have any questions about any part of this tutorial, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. We're going to go solution equals, actually solution times equals temp. And again, for those of you who are a little confused by this, solution times equals temp is the exact same thing as writing solution equals temp times temp. Or solution equals solution times temp, sorry. Yeah, so solution times equals temp is the exact same thing as writing this line right here. As you can see, it saves you time in writing the code out, and it saves a little bit of confusion. So once we have that finished, we're going to go ahead and go out of the for loop, and we're going to go return solution. And this is what I was talking about earlier, that it has to return a variable of this type. In order to return it, every method has to have a return statement, unless it's a void method, like our main method, which means that it's not going to be returning anything. It's just kind of inert. Any method with a variable type, it needs to have a return statement, and it needs to return whatever variable type it is. So I have solution, which is an integer, and it is an integer method. So then we're going to go ahead and just copy this entire method here to save us a lot of time in coding. I'm going to go down here and just change it to public static int combine, and we have int total. Alright, so we're just going to adjust the variables a little bit here. We have int total 1, total 2, and solution. Whoops. Total 2. We're going to set total 2 equal to 1. And so we're going to go total equals A minus B. That's the same. Yeah, total equals A minus B. And then we're going to create a for loop in which we already have solution equals solution times, well, we need to change this to temp 1. Solution times equals temp 1. And then we're going to bail out of that, and we're going to go for int temp 2 equals B. Temp 2, oh, good thing I noticed that, because we need to set all of these temps in here to different things, so we need that to be total 1 as well. So temp 1, total 1, you need to change all of those. Temp 2 is greater than total 2, or greater than 0, my apologies. And then temp 2 minus minus. And that will be the end of that declaration. We want that to be total 1. I know I'm jumping around here a little bit. And then in here we want total 2 equal to temp or times equal to temp2. Alrighty. So what we've got here is we've got the solution is equal to temp1, so we're iterating through this total right here, which would be the nominator in the actual combination equation, and then we have temp2 going, which would be the denominator in the equation for combinations. And then here we're going to go solution divided by equals, so divided equals, which just means solution equals solution divided by total 2. Now if you look at the equation, which is has a lot of factorials going on there, but if you look at the equation, basically what happens is that you have the top half, which specifies that you remove a certain number of items, and it gives you a factorial that you need to multiply out, which is what's happening in the for loop right here. We're multiplying that out, and that's the factorial that we're talking about. And my mouse keeps double clicking on itself. Oh my. Alright. And then here we're working on the denominator, which in combinations as opposed to permutations combines a bunch of numbers and gives you a set factorial, and then you divide both of those together. Whereas in this one, in permutations, the denominator cancels itself out by the time you get everything multiplied out. So once we do solution divided equals total 2, we're going to return the solution, and that will place everything properly. So at this point we are finished writing the code. I know that was a long and arduous battle. I thank you for your patience. And alright, the name GUnits does not exist in the current context. Where are we sitting at? Ah, see, I didn't capitalize that, so we need to change that to a capital U. Run it, and I goofed up those two as well. My goodness. I think that was copied code. Alright, unassigned variable, local variable, do again. Well, I missed a couple lines of code somewhere then.